And a very good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Cadet First Class Club here at West Point for another edition of This Week in Army Football, taking you until 8 o'clock as we talk about the Black Knights and the upcoming opponent, Army, going on the road to take on UAB, coming up on Saturday afternoon from Birmingham, Alabama. Black Knights coming off a setback this past Thursday night on the road at East Carolina. They'll have a couple extra days to prepare for the UAB Blazers. And welcome back on a Monday night, and we welcome back the star of our show. How about This Week in Army Football? Welcome to the head coach of the Black Knights, Jeff Monken. Jeff, welcome back to your show. And I'll tell you what, you get a chance to get back on the field this week, on the road again, to take on UAB.
Well, that's all we're looking forward to, is the opportunity to play again, and it's fun to play this game. It's fun to be a part of this game, but certainly after a disappointing loss, the players, the coaches, everybody is anxious to get out there and compete again, to have a chance to try to win a game, and that's what we're hoping for this week, and we'll try to put the work in this week and have ourselves ready to go.
I know there's no moral victories. You've made that very clear since you've been the head coach here at West Point, going back 12 years. Though, value in lessons from a setback, what are some of the things your team was able to learn from Thursday night down in Greenville?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things. Number one, give credit to East Carolina. I think they've got a really well-coached and extremely talented football team. It's certainly a different football team from the one we faced here a year ago. We played them here at home a year ago and had our way pretty good with them. And they made a change in the days that followed that game, and Blake Harrell took over, and they started winning. And they've won, 8 out of their last 11 games, I guess, since we played them last. And so I think 2 of those are the Power 5 opponents. They're a good football team, and so it was going to be a challenge. We knew that going in, and they made it a challenge for us. What they really did well to start the game was hit some big plays. They hit 2 big pass plays. The opening drive, they hit a post route, got over the top on us, and we were chasing from behind. It set up a score for them, and then the second score, we went 3 and out. We had a first play was 5 yards. Second play, we threw that pass to Samari. It was ruled a catch, and then the review took it back to 3rd and 5. We had to punt on 4th down. They turned right around, hit that big touchdown pass into the end zone. It was 14-0. And I mean, I don't know if there's a lesson in that. It's just big plays make such a difference in the game. Explosive plays. They had 13 plays at 10+ yards, and many of those came in the passing game. One of those was the fake field goal. So there were a lot of pass plays that they hit across the middle and ran for some good positive yards. A couple of those early on that they hit us over the top. But what I'll say about our defense, though, that we gave up touchdowns in the first 3 drives. We didn't give up a defensive touchdown the rest of the day. But lesson learned. The last 2 weeks we've gotten behind 21-0 to start the game, and that's not a recipe for success. Although against North Texas, we were able to come back and give ourselves a chance at the end of regulation and give ourselves a chance in overtime. We didn't get it done, but we've got to keep ourselves from getting behind on the scoreboard like that. We got to start faster and offensively just make plays when they're there. We had a couple opportunities. We dropped a couple passes that had the opportunity to be some big plays, and it would change the game. 14-7 rather than 14-0 and turn it over on downs and going down 21-0. That's not our style of play. It's not our game, and we got to play our game, and we got to do that better. But our guys continue to play hard. They played tough. It just wasn't good enough. They were a better football team.
We've talked a lot about turnovers on this show the first few weeks of the season. Your team actually won the turnover battle, but so many 4th downs in that game, going for it back and forth. The mindset of the 4th downs, it just seemed like that was where the game was going for both teams, going for it on 4th down.
We had to go for it on 4th down, just where we were at in the game, down 21 points. Doesn't leave us much choice. There are some that are very manageable, and some that are. We punted a couple times, and if there's a bright spot, I thought the way we kicked off, Anderson Britton kicked all of his kickoffs into the end zone. That's a guy who kicked the first kick into a dead wind and put it in the end zone, and did that all night. And then James Wagenseller with his punt had a 71-yard punt that completely flipped the field, put the ball down on the 1-yard line. There were some positive spots there, but we do often go for it on fourth down. And you recall a couple games ago against Kansas State, we were 6 of 7 on fourth downs, I believe it was, or 5 of 6, something like that. And the only one we didn't make was a drop pass, a pass that was a little bit behind a guy. And we've had pretty good success. But in this one, it was a little tougher. We had to try more of them and give East Carolina credit. They were doing a really good job against us. But that's going to be our philosophy, is try to give ourselves a manageable situation on fourth down and sequence the plays so that we can get into a manageable position. And they made some fourth downs too. And I'm sure, like a lot of teams, they're into the analytics and use those and take the opportune times to go forward on fourth.
You turn it around this week, face off against another team this year on the road that you defeated at home 1 year ago, UAB, coached by Trent Dilfer, the former NFL quarterback. And I think we can say this about a lot of these American teams this year. UAB struggled last year, and they're playing a lot better so far through the first few games of this year.
They're playing much better. They're scoring a lot of points. They're really throwing the ball well, and they're over 300 yards a game passing. They've played some good football teams. They opened the season with Navy and really played them pretty tough. But Navy's got a good football team. They lost to Tennessee on the road this past weekend, who's an outstanding football team, obviously. And then they got a couple wins. They're 2-2 and beat Akron and beat Alabama State. And so they're a much improved football team. And they made some changes in their coaching staff, schematically a little bit different, and creating some challenges for people. And so we're anxious to play the game. We know we're gonna be facing a team that's well coached. We know we're gonna be facing a team with a bunch of really good athletes, and it's gonna be a challenge for us. But that's why we play, just to get the opportunity to try to go get a victory.
And we're excited about this edition of This Week in Army Football. Coming up next, our first special guest, and Jeff, someone so important to you on the field, his energy, his excitement. I know it translates into the locker room. That's your fine defensive lineman, Jacob Tuiote.
Oh, that's a great kid. Jacob, what's really special about Jacob, and I don't know that he'll have a chance to express all of it while he's on the show with us tonight, but just how much his family means to him, how important just his parents and grandparents and siblings and cousins and just his whole family, and how dear they are to him. And it makes him who he is. It makes him the kind of teammate that he is, and a guy that cares so much and takes so much pride in what he does. So it's a great kid. I'm excited to have him on the show.
Jacob Tuiote, the senior defensive lineman, will join us coming up next on This Week in Army Football, live from the Cadet First Class Club, right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield. And welcome back to the show. This week in Army football, live from the Cadet First Class Club here at West Point. Army getting set to take on UAB on the road on Saturday, noon kick time Eastern from Protective Stadium in Birmingham. Airtime across the Army Sports Network, 10 a.m. with the Army Football Tailgate Show. Time now for our first special guest of the night, a stalwart among the Army defensive linemen. He's seen a lot of time, a lot of plays on that D-line. He's a senior from California, Long Beach, California, to be exact. How about it this week in Army football? Welcome, Jacob Tuiote, joining us here on This Week in Army Football. Jacob, welcome to the show. And Coach gave you a great intro before we went to break. Someone who values football, values family, faith, all those things so important to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for the kind words, Coach Monken.
It was just like you wrote it out for me earlier on the napkin. I've tried to read it off exactly like you had it.
It's truly a blessing to be up here. Thank you so much.
Jeff, he's someone who, whatever he's been asked to do, he's been able to do. And Jacob's one of those players, the beauty of him coming up through this program to be the player he is today.
He is, and he's playing a lot of snaps. And this is a guy that, if you've watched him play, he's had his share of bumps and bruises and wearing shoulder harnesses and stuff like that. And he just keeps powering through and fighting through. And he's playing a lot of snaps for us. And we typically have a pretty good rotation on the defensive line. He and Cody Harris-Miller are probably the two sluggers in there at nose guard. And with Cody out, Jacob's taking on a lot of those snaps. And he's just doing a great job and working really hard. He's a powerful guy, plays with low pad level. It's exactly what we need in our defense.
What prepared you, Jacob, for the opportunities this year? Coach talked about the injuries along the defensive line. You're someone, you missed a season with an injury a couple of years ago. What have you done to prepare yourself for the opportunities you've been given?
First and foremost, thank my Heavenly Father for this opportunity. I'm very grounded in my faith, thanks to my parents. And, I give him all the praise and glory. So everything I do for his name. We had great trainers that was always with me along the way during the summer. We're always hitting the nail, chopping the tree one by one. So, just to have the opportunity to come back on the field, it's just a blessing.
Jeff, how'd you get this guy from Long Beach, California?
Well, Sean Saturnio, who recruits our West Coast and has a connection with a lot of the coaches out there. He made connections with the coaches at Poly, and they talked to Sean about Jacob, and there happens to be another guy, Donovan Poe, from the same high school, and so to get guys out of that program, Long Beach Poly is one of the best high school football programs in the country. This is a place that I don't know if they still do, but I think at one point had more NFL draft picks from that high school than any other high school in the country. So it's great football, great coaches, and so just those connections and Rob Healy, who's a great Army name there, quarterback, has a
85 Peach Bowl team.
Great connection to Long Beach Poly, and he's always sending us names, and I know Jacob's came across our email, and there's fortune in the follow-up. So here's Jacob right here with us.
Jacob, what was that experience like? And Jeff talked about a high school that has produced NFL players, a region of the country where high school football is so big. Take us through a little bit of what that experience was like.
The experience was very surreal. So my older brothers both went to Long Beach Poly, then we moved. Then they went to La Mirada, then I followed my freshman year, then transferred to Long Beach Poly. And just being able to play back in my hometown is like, it's a great feeling. It's like you're playing for the people and, playing for the city as well. So 5'6", you got to represent. So wherever we go, and, having that reputation at Long Beach Poly, like they're producing so many people, and I was able to join Long Beach Poly. It's like my dream is to become part of them. So it's like, it's a dream. Everything, like this whole process is a dream. So I'm just thankful to be part of the journey.
Jeff, Army's played a lot of defensive linemen, and I almost have to look each play, who's coming in, who's coming out. for Jacob and Jeff, that's got to take some coordination of who's coming in and out every single play.
Oh, it does, and a lot of times we're doing that based on the offense's substitutions, either by personnel group or just the fact that we're trying to slow them down. People will substitute players in, and it gives us the opportunity to substitute then and match on defense, which the officials kind of hold the action. We make the switch. Coach Woody's able to see the personnel group, perhaps the formation, and
that's become a strategy in college football.
It's what every it's what every defensive coordinator is doing, and everybody's doing it. People are doing it to us too. But the thing we don't do is go line up in the formation. We get in a huddle, and that makes it a little bit more of a challenge. But I think every defensive coordinator uses that as an opportunity to get the right call in, and so that's kind of why you sometimes see those switches.
So you got to be ready, right?
Yes, sir.
Who's going to go in next? So take me through your time as a cadet. What's been fulfilling? What's been challenging over these 4 years at West Point?
The first thing, the biggest challenge for me is being homesick. I'm still homesick to this day. I try to call my parents every night.
You're getting into 4 years. Yeah. So you've done well, though. You've done well with it.
I do it for them. So, I'm just glad I was able to represent their name and, do is the best ability of my dad's last name. So I know it means a lot to him and a lot to my family.
Jeff, and you could say this about all of your cadet athletes, every cadet here at West Point, a role model. It's just great to hear it through Jacob's words that how much this means to him and how proud he is.
Oh, it is, and it's I think there's something special about having family pride and realize that when we do the things that we do, whether we do them with excellence or we do them with a half-hearted effort, we're representing other people, and so I think the thing about the guys here is they really take a lot of pride in who they represent. Their families at home, the West Point, the Corps of Cadets here, our long gray line of graduates, and the men and women that serve in the United States Army. There's a lot of people that we represent, and I think Jacob and his teammates take a lot of pride in that.
Jacob, what are you looking forward to most when you become a commissioned officer in the future and part of the U.S. Army?
I would say the ability to be a servant leader. Part of this 47th month journey, plus the prep school, if you count that. A lot of the leaders that I really love, like taking notes from, they're always serving others. Like Coach Monken, he's always serving others before himself. For example, he's always the last one off the plane. He's always cleaning up after people. He's not shy of picking up trash around the facility. People may not see that, but when your players see that, it means a lot. It just shows that care factor and makes more players want to buy in. So that's a really big thing of mine that I'm trying to instill in not only myself, but once I become a commissioned officer, I try my best to be that.
Jeff, that's some high praise for you.
Well, he said that just like I wrote it down for him on the napkin. So
I'll tell you, no one's writing anything down for me. I'll tell you that much. So I'll tell you, Jacob, we appreciate it and keep up the great work along that defensive line. My favorite unit on the football field, defensive line. You're one of them, and my favorite position on the football. I believe the most important position. If you have a defensive line that can stop the run, it starts everything.
There you go, Rich.
Right? That's my philosophy on
stop
football,
the run,
which everyone
no
wants, right? So, Jacob, we appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. Thanks for coming by. Jacob Tuiote joining us here on This Week in Army Football. When we come back, our second special guest tonight, Deputy Athletic Director Trisha Brandenburg. We'll have more in just a moment right here across the Army Sports Network from Learfield. And welcome back to This Week in Army Football. Great spot with Jacob Tuiote and one of the big players among the Army defensive linemen. And now time for our special guest of the night. We've been catching up with the Army deputy athletic directors here in the department. Now someone who works very closely with the Army football team, Deputy Athletic Director, Chief Leadership Officer, Senior Woman Administrator. How about This Week in Army Football? Welcome to Trisha Brandenburg. Trisha, welcome to This Week in Army Football. And Trisha is not only a guest, she's a fan and a patron of the show, Jeff.
Well, she is here all the time.
That's what I mean. So she didn't just come necessarily to be on the show. She's here always supporting the show. So we appreciate that.
100%.
So Trisha, welcome to This Week in Army Football. And how does it feel to be on the stage instead of watching the show?
It's a little different. You know, I'm trying to be here every week, but it's a little bit different vantage point from up here.
So Trisha, let's talk about, and there's so many things that you do. We could probably do a whole show just based on that. But, you're working with the football program. We had a great conversation actually in the break before we came on about some of the subjects, whether it's sexual harassment and awareness, education, and different issues and different things that you work with teams, especially the football team on. Can you tell us a little bit about, some of the things you're able to work hands-on with this team about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm privileged to work with a great prevention team here at the Academy in terms of how we educate our cadets, and we've got a great group of guys on this football team who are willing to engage in the conversation in a way that, frankly, I'm not used to maybe from some of the civilian institutions that I've worked at. And so, it's great conversations with them. It's real conversations. It's no different than what we talk about in terms of what our values are as a football program. We talk about the brotherhood of Army football, and talking about important topics like sexual assault and sexual harassment is really no different. We need to not complicate it and just engage in the conversation.
Jeff, what does it mean to you to have someone like Trisha engaging with your cadets and there to really fill a large piece of their athletic and personal development pie?
Well, as I said, I've never been anywhere where a coach or administrator, somebody from the athletic department really just kind of dives in with both feet and says, okay, we're going to talk about these things and take them head on. And I think our guys respond to that. And a lot of that is because of West Point. West Point takes on difficult conversations and issues and things that are going on in the world, and they take them head on, and they talk about them and talk through them and solve problems. And so that's what we do here. And so our guys are anxious to do that. They want to be engaged, and they want to have those conversations. And where Trisha comes in, she does. She steps right in and talks about, hey, here's something we need to talk about, and here's what we can discuss. And what I'm impressed with as well is our players do respond. They don't sit there with their hands folded and their mouths shut and embarrassed to talk. They will talk, and it gets into real conversation. And I'm thankful to have Trisha come in and do that, because sometimes it's a little more difficult with your coach, somebody that you're interacting with every single day. But to have somebody like Trisha step in and say, I care about this, I care about you guys, and I want to help us get better and help us be educated, it's invaluable.
Trisha, you've been here with the Army Athletic Association just over 3 years, came in the summer of 2022. Talk to me about the opportunity, how it came about, and your decision to come here with your husband, James, here to West Point.
Yeah, well, I'm from New York originally, so this is a little bit coming home for me. I haven't lived in New York since I graduated high school or graduated college, and so I joke around with my husband that I keep moving him further east, further cold, and further away from his mother.
And James, and I had to get his name out. He is a loyal patron of the show as well.
He too is here.
So you got it. He's been awesome.
Beers are cheap here on Monday nights. So.
But I mean, Army athletics and working with Army football is just such a tremendous opportunity, and saw that pretty quickly, and being able to learn and grow at a place that is the leadership development institution in the world is a really hard opportunity to pass up.
Trisha's a football coach's kid too, just like me.
So and
kindred spirits.
There's a lot of ways we can go, a lot we can talk about. One thing is, Trisha, you're one of the football sport administrators along with Dan McCarthy. You also really head up the whole sport administration program here at West Point. And I've been here long enough where, when I first got to West Point, there was one person that was the sport administrator and whatever that is for 30 sports. what are the most important things about sport administration that you are trying to fulfill the needs of all these teams, and how important it is, right? There's a flow chart of staff members who support each team in every different way.
Yeah, I mean, supporting our coaches and our student athletes, our cadet athletes is the most important thing we do. And, for me, it's really about, in some ways preaching a ministry of presence. It's about being present for our cadet athletes and for our coaches, and how do we help them get better as people, and how do we help them get better as athletes, and how do we make sure that we're coordinating and connecting them with the resources that are available at a place like West Point.
Jeff, and so many of these cadet athletes, and like I say, hey, every single one of them's a role model. They all have amazing stories. And I think it's easy to say, well, you're a cadet, you're getting this great experience. But I think I've seen through Trisha, and you've talked about as well, that there's so much of a maturity, a professional, a growth that comes through having administrators, having programs. Jeff, it seems like, being a head coach, everything else, more is added to that plate every single year, and it really helps the development of these athletes.
It does. And it's more than just playing football and learning X's and O's. And what we're preparing these young men and women to do here is to lead other people. And certainly I think that's our responsibility and our obligation in college sports, is to give them a great experience, but also to give them the skills that they need to go out into their lives beyond college and succeed as leaders and leaders of character. We want all of our student athletes to go out and get great jobs and earn lots of money and fulfill their dreams, but they're at some point going to be in charge of making sure that other people have a great experience with what they're doing and improving the lives of others, whether it's their family members or their fellow workers or their subordinates or whoever it may be. And for ours, we have a mission here, and it's to create leaders of character as commissioned officers to serve in the Army. So what a responsibility we have, and the more we can prepare them for that, the more we can educate them on things beyond just the courts and the fields and the pitch and all those things. That's our responsibility here at West Point.
Trisha Brandenburg, spending a little time with her here tonight on This Week in Army Football, a Cornell graduate, 4-year letter winner as a manager on the wrestling team, and our resident wrestling expert. Okay, so now I'm going to put you on the spot, not necessarily a wrestling question.
Not WWE.
No.
Well, that's my husband.
WrestleMania, SummerSlam, right? It was. I love seeing the pictures on social. So now, to put you on the spot, you've been here 3 years. You're always at events. You're traveling. You're sport administrator for football. So many great moments. What's been your favorite Army athletics moment since you came on board? I knew I was going to put you on the spot for one question. This is it.
That's an easy question.
Okay.
My first Army-Navy football game. No question.
That was some game. Noah Short, Jabril Williams. That was.
So I should say my first Army-Navy football game as a staff member. I'd been to 2 Army-Navy games before coming to work here, cheering for Army in every instance, even though I was with some Navy people before I came here. But that first Army-Navy football game, overtime win, there's nothing better than that game.
That was some game, Jeff.
It sure was.
Oh, Philadelphia.
Yep.
Philadelphia, Foxborough, those 2 years. Because how the team came back, right? It was 3-6 in 2022 when your last 3. 2022 was 3-6, then 2-6 in 2023, and finished the season with those wins and a victory over Navy. Well, Trisha, we appreciate you coming by. I usually say to folks, hey, don't be a stranger. Make sure you come by, but I don't need to say that to Trisha because she'll be here next week. So we appreciate it, Trisha, for joining us. Thanks for all you do, and best of luck here on the next challenge coming up.
Go Army.
That's right. Trisha Brandenburg, Deputy Athletic Director, Chief Leadership Officer, Senior Woman Administrator here at Army West Point. When we come back, we'll get to some questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken, preview the game on Saturday against UAB right here on This Week in Army Football, live from the Cadet First Class Club on the Army Sports Network from Learfield. And welcome back to This Week in Army Football, Cadet First Class Club, here until 8 o'clock, and it's Army and UAB coming up on Saturday. Noon kick time, 11 a.m. local time in Birmingham. Protective Stadium, which was actually the home base for the USFL spring season for a couple of years.
Oh,
a couple
yeah.
years ago when it came back. They played all the
Everybody
games
was playing there.
Exactly.
Why were they doing that, Rich?
I think it was to save money, and the teams were having pregame meals together. I don't know how much that would fly. Imagine an Army-Navy game where the teams had a pregame meal together with the coaches.
Interesting.
Have you ever been to Birmingham? I know it's not Legion
yeah.
Field, right? But it's still going to be the city, the great city, and this brand new stadium, a couple of years old.
Yep, I've not been to the stadium. I have been to Birmingham as recently as July. We're taking my daughter around on college visits, and we kind of had to fly through Birmingham to get to the places she wanted to go, and so got to visit Birmingham. And Devin Moss, who's on our team, is from Birmingham, so I remember recruiting him and going through Birmingham, Alabama. And so this will be a return trip.
Oh, it's great. It should be a lot of fun. And
I got to tell you another trip I took to Birmingham.
Okay.
So there's a guy named Charlie Pravada, used to be the head coach out at the Merchant Marine Academy. And he was recruiting Atlanta, and I was recruiting Atlanta. And he wanted to go over to Birmingham to the track, see the horses run, nice. Right? And so it was, I don't know, it was the spring or something like that. And he goes over to the track. I said, you go to the track. I'm going to go and hunt for some barbecue. So I went on a little barbecue tour. This is several years ago, Birmingham, and found some barbecue. And then we linked back up after he went to the track and went back to Atlanta. So that's
very nice.
Yeah.
Found the barbecue. That's better than the track.
Oh, yeah. That was a long way to go from Atlanta to Birmingham for some barbecue.
Now, getting back to UAB and the head coach Trent Dilfer, he had a 10-year career in the National Football League.
He
won
did.
a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, which I know is a team that you root for.
I do
as well. Baltimore Ravens. So,
struggling a little bit.
yeah, how about that 1-3?
Yeah, well, they'll be all right. They got a good offensive coordinator.
They do.
Pulling for that guy.
And I'll tell you, he's probably going to get an NFL head coaching job.
Hope he does. He deserves it.
He definitely deserves it. Trent Dilfer, I know you've seen him at American Media Days and what have you. What's your thoughts about what he's done? And I guess to some people, an out-of-the-box hire when he got the job, but he's committed. He's every bit the developer that he was when he was on television doing his Elite 11 and all those kinds of things.
For sure. And doing a really good job. He had great success as a high school coach. And as you said, a little bit out of a box hire. But, other schools have done that and had success. Coach Briles was the coach, at Houston and then at Baylor and had great success. Came up through the high school ranks. Gus Malzahn, who was a high school coach, and then was Arkansas State and moved on and became the coach at Auburn, and et cetera, et cetera. There's been a lot of coaches who have a lot of success doing that. He's really smart. He's a really good football coach. He's hired a great staff, and he, like a lot of coaches, going through the challenges of changing rosters and transfer portal. And what he's done is he's brought in some really good players, some very talented football players. And so you see the improvements they made, how much better they're playing this year, and where they're at as a program right now. And so it'd be a challenge for us. Like I said, athletic and well coached, and they played an option team already this year, so not like we're sneaking up on anybody. And they played us, they played us a year ago and have a pretty good idea of how we're wired. And I know it took some time in the off season, in the spring and preseason camp to prepare for us. So we're expecting a really hard-fought battle, and I hope we can go down there and play well.
Across college football, we're used to so much turnover, especially at the quarterback position. And Jalen Kitna, he's been someone who transferred from Florida, was out of college football for a year, came to UAB last year. Actually, the game against Army was the second game he had played for them, then started the final 8 games of the season, and he has a heck of a throwing arm, and he's thrown for 2 touchdowns in each of their first 4 games.
So not a rookie. Obviously played against us. That was kind of the first couple games of his career at UAB, starting as a UAB quarterback. But he's got enough games under his belt now. He's very comfortable with their system. Coach Dilfer is the coach. I know how involved he is with developing him and the other guys in the program at that position. But just his his fingerprints on the offense, and that's his thing, and they're doing a great job. I mean, just you can look at their numbers and the 320 yards a game. They scored a bunch of points, and so and done it against good people. So we're in for a challenge.
Jeff, staying on the defensive side of the ball for your team, two fast-paced teams, North Texas, ECU. UAB will be much of the same. I know there were the 3 scores early, but after that against East Carolina, your team really locked in. How do you think the defense handled, aside from the score and points given up, the fast pace from the North Texas to the East Carolina games?
East Carolina was really fast. North Texas did not use tempo against us like we maybe perhaps expected. They were a lot slower than their normal pace, slower than they were against us a year ago. But East Carolina was really fast paced, and that I don't know that was the thing that created the problems for us. Those guys getting behind us for those big throws, that certainly was an issue. But we'll see. I think tempo is changing up tempo. People going fast, people going slow, people changing that up. That's a challenge for defenses, and we're wired different. But I think a lot of people operate that way, and I expect that UAB will use some tempo against us, and we got to be able to handle it.
Army and UAB, Saturday noon kick time from Birmingham, Alabama. We will be back. One more segment of This Week in Army Football coming up in just a moment right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield. And welcome back. This week in Army football, one more segment. We're leading into, it's a Monday Night Football doubleheader tonight. Jeff, they're playing 2 games on Monday night.
Well, I don't get to hold the remote at my house, so I can't tell you that Monday Night Football is going to be coming on at the Monken house.
Jets, Dolphins
That's okay,
right
though.
now. Got Broncos, Bengals coming up a little bit later on. Great seeing Cole Christensen on the sideline, not yet active during that Ravens-Chiefs game yesterday. So good seeing Cole Christensen. How about Brett Toth? We talked about it a little bit, but a Super Bowl champion got on the field for those last couple drives in Super Bowl 59. You've got to be mighty proud that a Super Bowl trophy again for an Army football player, going back to Cole Christensen from 2 years ago, and then Brett Toth against Cole in last year's game, and another Army player winning it.
It's pretty incredible. 3 years in a row, we've had somebody on the roster, the Super Bowl champs. So I hope it'll last. I hope those guys continue to have great careers, and I hope they'll continue to make it to the Super Bowl and win it.
So let's talk about your team and staying focused, and that's never been a problem for this team. And I know last week it was, hey, excited 5 days later being able to get on the field. How have you been able to use these 2 extra days, I guess 9 days between the East Carolina game and another road game at UAB?
A lot of it is recovery. Obviously, playing 2 games in 5 days is a challenge. We came back on the airplane after the ball game, obviously disappointed. But we did have a work day on Friday. Our guys came in, and those that needed treatment got it. We met, watched the film. We're able to really dive into the film from the night before and get that behind us, and then get on to UAB and look at some film of our next opponent, which we did, and then took Saturday off, which we have 1 day a week as a mandatory day off by the NCAA. So Saturday was our day off for last week. We got on the field, we lifted, had meetings, and had a practice on Sunday night. Took today off as our 1 day a week this week for our NCAA compliance, and then tomorrow we'll get back on the field and have our normal Tuesdays. We're going to kind of get back into our normal routine, which is great, and I think that's important in preparation. So it becomes a little bit of a normal week. And we're behind. UAB's had an extra week to get ready for us, and we've got a lot of work to do in the next couple of days. But I think our guys will come back with a great attitude, and we're sure counting on them too. And we'll be excited to see those guys show up at the building tomorrow, ready to work.
Jeff, quarterback position. Who'll be under center to start the game on Saturday?
Well, we're going to have a quarterback. I'm not sure I can tell you right now who it's going to be, but both of those guys have played well at times, and both of those guys have had some moments where they've struggled this year. And so what we got to do is be more consistent, not just at that position, but overall we got to be more consistent. And the more those guys play, I think they'll become more consistent. They'll become more comfortable and more confident. And so we're going to go through the week and kind of see who we think maybe gives us the best chance to start the game. But we very well may play both of those guys this Saturday. We'll just have to see.
That B-back rotation, it's been a great really cycle you've had between those 4 B-backs. Great to see Jake Rendina back from injury. How close is he? I know Hayden Reed's been battling it the last couple of games. How's their health? And how about 2 newer players we're seeing get a lot of carries, and Carson Smith and Briggs Bartosh?
Yeah, Briggs got a good number of plays on Saturday or Thursday night, played a lot. I'm really excited about his development, how he's growing and becoming more comfortable. He's got a lot of ability, fast and powerful. Jake Rendina, just remarkable how quickly he came back from that injury at Kansas State. He's a really strong, developed player, and I think that contributed to his recovery. And Hayden's, he got beat up in that game too. Had the ankle injury and has come back from that, and he just, the pounding that those guys take. There's some damage that happens when you get tackled as many times as those guys do, and it's a rough game. But I'm confident he'll come back, and he's a tough guy, and he's battled back from injury in the past, so I expect he'll be ready to go.
Colin Madison, who had the beautiful game against Kansas State, he was missing against East Carolina. Will we see him Saturday?
He will. He's going to practice tomorrow, and so we're thrilled to have him back. He's really that guy. You talk about a guy who's grown and and developed as a player. There's not a guy on our team that I'm more proud of and how he's developed and what he means to our team right now than Colin Madison. Really good tackler, really good player.
So what are the keys? What is your team going to need to do? What could we see? What could we hear early on, which will show that this game is going the way you want it?
Oh, we got to start with winning the turnover battle, and we did that on Thursday night. It's not often that we lose a game when we win the turnover battle. That they managed to beat us, and they just, like I said, they were a good football team. We got to win the turnover battle, and we got to run the ball effectively, stop the run, and play great special teams. Do a good job of keeping ourselves offensively in manageable conversion downs. That's 3rd and 4th down, and then winning on 3rd down on defense, and putting them in situations where they've got more than just a couple yards to gain on 3rd down, and that should increase our percentages to have success on that down. It's all those downs that matter. Our guys got to play hard. We got to block well. We got to get off of blocks. We got to tackle effectively. We did that against Kansas State. We hadn't done that as well the last couple of weeks. We got to do that better. But I'm encouraged by our defense. As you asked about their performance, we had a tough first quarter, but they just played their hearts out for 3 quarters after that. If we can start that way and play that way throughout the game, then we're going to have a chance to play good defense. So looking forward to the opportunity.
Well, Jeff, thank you, as always, on This Week in Army Football. We'll see you on Saturday.
Looking forward to it.
That is Army head coach Jeff Monken. FWM for plumbing, heating, HVAC, refrigeration, pipe, valves, fittings, and more with extensive inventory, personalized service, over 100 locations, and a fleet of trucks across the Northeast. Visit FWM.com for a location near you. And this broadcast is an exclusive presentation of Army West Point Sports Properties, a property of Learfield, under the broadcasting rights granted by the United States Military Academy at West Point. This broadcast copyrighted. Any rebroadcast or reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of the Academy and Army West Point Sports Properties. The general manager of Army West Point Sports Properties is Steve Tucker. Skylar, Jimmy, and Bob keeping us on the air. Michael Tornillo handling our video broadcast. James Vernon coming by to help as well. We'd like to thank our special guests, Army Senior Defensive Lineman Jacob Tuiote and Army West Point Deputy Athletics Director Trisha Brandenburg. For Army head coach Jeff Monken, Rich DeMarco saying so long, Army, and UAB coming up on Saturday afternoon. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Have a great rest of your Monday night, everyone.